Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today my guest is Vikrant Pathak. He is the CEO and Chief Data Scientist for myautoIQ. Welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's dive in. Can you start off a little bit? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career path that led you to where you are today with myautoIQ.
Sure. So, Brian, before I started myautoIQ, I was running a business focused on providing information and data solutions for our customers as part of a publicly listed company. Mm-hmm. And as a person who used to work with data, machine learning, data science, I saw two worlds emerging over the last 15, 20 years. There was one world which was predominantly online, which seemed to know everything about the customer, seemed to make everything, every decision about the customer, and it became the core of their business model. I'll give you an example. I listen to music a lot, and all I do is put on my Spotify. I know Spotify knows my music taste better than I do, and what ends up happening is it will keep on recommending new songs that I like, and I keep listening. So that's one side of the world. The other side of the world that I saw was the traditional, more human interaction businesses, which were missing this personalization component. So we started myautoIQ with the specific goal of helping the car dealers, which is one of the largest human interaction businesses in the country, helping them have this very critical tool which they need for the transformation, digital transformation that they are going through today, which is personalization at scale.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about myautoIQ and how you help dealers to do that.
Sure. So what myautoIQ does is we use our AI personalization technology and automation to address one of the most challenging aspects for any dealership, which is lead follow-up and lead management. Today auto dealers deal with leads in the thousands, right? And the task that is given for this lead follow-up is humanly impossible to do, right? Think about you're getting 1,000 leads every month, and 3 months down the line, that number becomes 3,000. 12 months down the line, that number becomes 12,000. So it's a task which is humanly impossible to do. And as a result, what ends up happening is that they lose about 80 to 95% of the leads that they receive. When I look at it, I see that as a lost opportunity for revenue growth, for your profit growth. So what myautoIQ does is we help the dealers capture that otherwise lost revenue and profit by using our AI personalization technology, which creates an individualized nurturing journey for every customer. So at the core, Brian, what we are doing is not very different from what Spotify is doing. myautoIQ believes in treating each lead as if they were an individual with distinct needs and interests. And what we do is we create a nurturing journey which helps the buyer with their own buying journey. A typical buyer has a buying journey, nudges them along to the next step, and brings them in when they are ready to buy. By doing this, we are today influencing 5% and more of our dealer customers' sales every month. So 5% of the sales coming from cold or dead leads that they thought as dead.
So when a lead comes in, for the first time a lead comes in, and then does somebody follow up with them, I imagine, immediately, but then when it goes cold, then you take over. And then how does, what type of things does it learn along that journey to make it custom for the individual?
So we learn, so first thing that we do is we'll get to know if Brian has sent a lead, who is Brian, right? Mm-hmm. So what does Brian like, right? So first, Brian has come in for Ford Mustang. He likes domestic cars. He has always liked domestic cars. His next car that he is looking for is a Ford Focus because he's trimming down. He prefers value in a car. So we build that kind of whole profile for every lead. So it's like creating a 360-degree view of the customer, which tells our AI that how do you need to nurture this customer. This customer has this much budget. Brian is still early stage in his shopping. He's likely to buy in 90 to 120 days. He prefers value. So when you are going with a Ford Focus, maybe certified pre-owned is something that will appeal better to him. And he is still shopping, so you need to convince him to buy the Focus versus the next car which is there. So that's all. That's how we do. So the first step for us is to create that 360-degree view of the customer.
Okay, so you create that 360-degree view of the customer, and then because you know me and because you know that I'm looking for a Ford Focus, then so you would maybe send me information about a pre-owned Ford Focus that the dealership had. Is that kind of the customization that you're talking about?
No, it's not just that, Brian. Today, if you look at it, if you read Cox Automotive or any of the industry analyst car buying journey, what's the one thing they say? They say that an average car buyer takes about 90 to 120 days to buy a car, and most of their research happens outside of the dealership, right? So dealership only comes in when they have decided and done the research and bought the car. What we do is we bring that car buying journey in context of the dealership. So a customer may be, in the initial awareness stage. How do you help them out in that car buying journey while keeping the dealer context in mind? So I'll give you another example, right? I come with a person who recently bought a CRV, right? So if we were to buy somebody like that, we'll bring in external influencer content like a Car and Driver and say that, okay, it's Car and Driver says that CRV is the best rated mid-size or compact SUV, rated them 10 out of 10, share the videos which are available. So that's what we do. So we try to influence the journey. It consists of content, the relevant content, and it can be a content which can come in from video. It can be a content which can come in from the OEM. It can be a content which can come in from external influencer sites, the lead intelligence, and then also the inventory, right? So ultimately you're looking to buy a car. So we'll nudge you along, but also present you the right cars options that you're going to like.
I got it. So in my buying process, you're going to help to give me the information that I would have looked externally for before.
Correct.
You're going to bring me the stuff, the videos, the content, the written content, all the different things that I would have gone out to other places to find. Yes. You're going to make it easy for me to, continue down my path to buying that vehicle.
Yes, and I'll talk to you about CRV. Well, I'll talk to another person about Civics because I know which is the direction in which they want to go.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So instead of the old days of sending me, 5 cars that I'm not interested in, every Friday I get an email of the 5 cars that I would never buy.
Yeah.
Now you're just going to give me the content based on the vehicles that I'm most likely to be interested in.
Yeah.
So you're going to give me like a curated, experience.
Curated experience. I mean, it's the same model as a Spotify or Netflix, right? So we don't want to, customer needs to be engaged, right? Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line of this. And how does a customer get engaged? If they see something relevant, right? Yeah. So that's how it works.
Netflix is a great example of that. When you go into Netflix, if you click on your wife, there's one type of content. Correct. And then when you log in, it's like when I log in, it's like sci-fi, just sci-fi. Yeah. It's totally like nothing that I would see would show up on hers. Nothing that she would see would ever show up on mine.
Yeah, but we did, so I have a very similar thing.
Yeah.
But there was one particular thing that popped up in both of ours, right? So for both, I'm also like watching sci-fi. Uh-huh. And she will do more rom-com and some of that stuff. But one thing which came in for both of us, and we said, okay, let's try it out. This was way back, Breaking Bad, right?
It's a good show.
Yeah, so we both started watching, and this was Friday night. and we are sitting and watching through Sunday. So that's the power of getting the right customer engagement, which comes in, is that if you present something, you're not asking that customer to say, hey, can you come to my dealership? Do you want a test drive? Customer is not ready yet, right? It needs they need help, right? So you're nudging them along to say, okay, I have helped you finalize the car that you're going to buy. Next, I'm looking at whether I'm a reliability minded customer, I'm a value minded customer. How do I help that address that particular aspect of that 360-degree view? So there are different elements that come into play, Brian.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's kind of like you don't ask somebody to marry you on the first date.
Yes.
So but traditionally that was what a lot of dealership communications were.
Yeah.
You said I'm kind of interested in a CRV, and I would say, well, come in and drive it.
Come in and drive it.
Come in and drive it. Come in and drive it. But what this new customer experience is more like, I'm going to take you on a date. We're going to go to a movie. We're going to go on a vacation, and you're building a relationship with that customer before you ask them to marry you or to buy a car.
Yeah, Brian, and I think there is that's where the marriage of AI with human I see happening, right? Because the task that is given, there are certain tasks which humans are not best suited to do. So what does a car dealer salesperson do best? They do best. They usually have a great presence in the local community. They are good at building relationships with the customer, right? But what ends up happening is that a lot of these people are given the task, hey, you need to follow up with these 400 leads which are sitting there, okay? So they are instead spending time following up, doing things where you have today AI and automation, which is come in to do that heavy lifting for you. And this becomes, so that you can make that human, which is part of that process, a lot more efficient, right? So think about it. You've taken that burden off them, said that, okay, yes, you need to focus on these. They do a great job of converting what I call as the low-hanging fruits, which is people that are ready to buy. Mm-hmm. Spend time, build relationships with them, right? Rather than having to think about that, hey, I have to do some lead follow-up, I have to send some email. And what email will come out of that? Brian, are you still in market for a car? Are you still looking? Can you come for a test drive? That doesn't engage the customer. So this is where there is a perfect marriage of AI and the human. It increases your efficiency of the human by having AI do things at scale. Personalization at scale. Think about it. Netflix has 250 million subscribers, and each subscriber has, let's say, 3 or 4 accounts, right? So you're talking about a big number. And for each individual, like we talked about, it's creating a recommended queue, recommended options. Do you think it's something that they will ever go and say that go human? They'll have to hire half of the world population if they were to do it, and it would still not get done efficiently.
Well, and in a dealership environment, I mean, those cold leads that's some of the worst work. Like nobody wants to make 100 phone calls to people that all say no.
Yeah.
And so when you finally do get the person on the phone that might say yes, you're already jaded because 99 people told you no. So if you let the AI do the work that's undesirable, then the person, it probably makes the salesperson, his job is probably a lot more fun because now he's only talking to the people that are ready to buy as opposed to all the no's. He doesn't have to get all the no's.
And even for the people that are just coming in, right? You get 1,000 leads in a month. Okay, not everybody is ready to buy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait for that to go dormant. And get started with that level of engagement from the start. So that's it's something which we feel the whole AI personalization technology can be brought in for different aspects of the dealership business. And this is the first entry point of any prospect which is coming in, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you influence that, bring that level of personalization in?
Great. I want to kind of turn the corner a little bit to the data-driven business.
Yeah.
How do you feel about dealers' current state and where they need to be to actually be a data-driven business?
Yeah, so I think I mean, across the industries, they are moving to be more data driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at, and I have helped a lot of companies with that transition, so I've seen that how it is happening in other industries also. The dealer business has been slightly behind, but they are catching up, and you have some good examples from within the industry which has made data as the backbone, data and customer experience as the backbone of that business. And it's not that it's not the early mover advantage. Early movers always have an advantage, but we saw what 2 years back everybody was talking about Carvana, right? That was the poster child for success, right? Now today you see that they had the early mover advantage, but now the playing field is more leveled. So dealers have the opportunity to get more and more of the data into their business for making data driven decisions. And what I see is that even though the initial catch up may have been slow, 10 years down the line you will see that AI is pretty much helping them drive each aspect of their business decisions, whether it's inventory, pricing, customer engagement, loyalty, and more things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, let's talk about a specific example. Can you share a specific example of some data that let's say I'm a general manager and what daily decisions would I base on the data that's put in front of me, that to where maybe in years past I would have been looking backwards and trying to make decisions for next month. What are some things that happen right now that I can change my business today?
Yeah, so I think I gave you the example of the lead management, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's one area that you can relook at that, right? The second example that I'll give you is around service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you know that service is the most profitable part of a dealership's business,
Absolutely.
right? It has a small 10-12% of the share in revenue, but drives half the profits, right? So when you're talking about how data can influence your business decision and help you, just think about it. Just a couple of percentage increase in that service revenue, it will increase your overall profitability for the dealership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that? There are many ways. I mean, we can have a separate discussion around just this part, but I'll give you two quick examples of how you do it. The first is to ensure that people that buy from you service from you, mm-hmm. right? So small story. I was sitting with one of our customers. He's one of the largest luxury dealers in the country. And he was saying, Vikrant, I have customers, my brand offers 3-year free maintenance. And I have customers who would still not come in for service because they are scared that the dealer will charge more. And this happens not just for people that are bought on cash or finance, but also for lease customers where I put in a specific clause that you need to get the vehicle serviced regularly. But he said that once they come in, then they are my service customer for life, right? So that's the first opportunity. A big opportunity that I see is first measure how much of your business is, how many of your people that you sold cars to are coming back, mm-hmm. right? Second, how do you influence that somebody's ownership journey, because the needs are very different, right? When you have bought a car, you have bought a new BMW, right? The needs are very different. So how do you kind of have dealership be an ally for that customer in that process, and use all the and take the opportunity to remove the inhibitions out of bringing the car for service? So that's one. The second is that most of the dealerships have been around for a long time. There are a lot of people that have stopped servicing from them. How do you identify who those people are? What content do they need to bring them in? What is their profile? Is Brian a very value focused? He goes to Jiffy Lube because he thinks that $40 he'll get his oil change done. So you need to be able to identify what makes that person tick and what will bring him in back to the dealership. So those are the two examples, Brian. Mm-hmm. We can have a separate conversation completely about all the examples that are there.
Well, why is data-driven business such a hot topic today? Like what makes today the time?
Yeah, so data has been there for years, Brian, as you know, right? But what has increased is the volume of the data, the sources of the data, and the frequency of the data. And the good thing is that over last 20 years or so, the computing power has increased, which has allowed folks like us to apply complex AI models to make sense of that data, right? So you think about it that is why it is today possible. And I'll give you an example, right? So you and I are both big sports fans, right? Football fans. Yep. And if you take football or any other sport for that matter, all you'll hear is that a lot of decisions are getting taken up by data, right? You go to every Sunday, you'll watch, every time there is a 4th and 1 happening, the word comes up, this is what analytics say. So what is happening there? What is happening there when they say 4th and 1 is there? At that time, the coach is getting real-time information on the various options that he has available, which has crunched millions of data points, and which, when combined with the human instinct, which is that coach's experience and expertise, creates a winning solution. So that is what is the power of data, and why it is getting used more and more today.
Do you think that's why? I mean, 10 years ago, it doesn't seem like there was nearly as many teams going for it on 4th and 1, and especially not on their own side of the 50.
Yes.
But it seems almost every single game now, they go for it on the 40-yard, they'll be on their own 40, and teams are going for it now. Is data the reason for that?
Data is the reason for that, but it's the human element is very important. So you'll see, and I won't name the teams. Yeah. Okay, you will see that why you need to combine that human instinct, which is there, right? So the smart coaches will get the options. My probability is 60%, but they can read the defense, they can read the offense. They'll say, I'll not go for it, right? So that's the human instinct. So data provides you that element which will help you with that decision, right? But it doesn't replace the human instinct.
Well, now I'd like to talk about AI a little bit. AI is a part of almost every technology conversation these days, and probably our older audience will remember that AI was sent back from the future to kill John Connor in the Terminator movies. But younger audience, you need to watch the movie. But so, besides Terminators coming back to kill John Connor, what are the other opportunities for AI in the automotive space that we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah. So first, let me tell you, Brian. Yeah. John Connor is safe.
He's safe?
Yes.
Okay.
So Terminator model, whatever it was, I think 101 or 110. So our AI is not at that level. Okay.
Yeah.
So and in my assessment, it's decades, if not centuries away from there, right? So we don't have to worry about John Connor. He's safe.
Okay.
What we have today is what we call as augmented intelligence, right? The AI that is available today, I gave you that example that we just talked about, it's augmented intelligence. It is the intelligence which helps you provides you all the information, gets you the decision-making things, and in some cases it will even make the decisions based on what data it is getting, right? So
Yeah.
so that's what I call as the augmented intelligence. So we are at Terminator version 5. We are not at 110,
110.
right? So it will take a few centuries for us
Well,
to,
unless they come back in time, right?
unless they come back. Yeah. So that's a different.
We could still be in trouble.
Yeah, we can still be in trouble, but we'll not talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the opportunities, I think the two biggest opportunities that I see with using AI is, the auto dealer world is going through a major transformation. And what AI can provide is it can provide the ability to make their business model all about the customer, right?
Yeah.
Make it all about that. Yes, this is a customer, and whether they come in at the start, in the middle, at the end, I will make it all about the customer, right? So that's the first opportunity that I see. The second opportunity is to figure out, which are the tasks that humans are not best suited to do. I gave you that example. And have the AI do the heavy lifting while using while increasing the value of the humans in that process, right? And those are the two areas that I think are very strong. Strong impact areas. First is make it all about the customer. Think about everything as all about the customer and use your AI to power that. The second is to make it think about what tasks you can have the AI do and have the humans focus on the adding value to that task. You can increase the, most of these dealerships are like local businesses, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they serve the local community. You can you can pay your people more. You can, the savings that come in can go back to the pockets of the customers. Today, the customer is hurting because of the increased prices. So both of these cases, the AI can help in a big way.
Well, now, for a dealer that has, dealers, they have the data, they have the AI, what more do they need? What's next?
Yeah, so I think the two important things, Brian, there is content and automation. You gave me a tour of this beautiful studio, right? And it's a very nice setup that you have for creating videos for your customers. You have a service bay, you have other things. And I'm seeing that more and more dealers are starting to use videos for their customers. For the customers, it's great because they want to see that a video is more engaging, right? So they want to see that. The question comes that why do you want to spend the tens of thousands of dollars to create a video if you cannot put it in front of the right customer, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the first opportunity which is there is the content, right? I gave you the video example. The other example that we talked about previously, which was that you have so much of content that a customer needs in their buying journey. For my brand, Motor Trend has given outstanding review for that particular vehicle. Why would I not include that, right?
Yeah.
So the content is very important because it's that's how you engage, right? If you look at what happened back in the time when there was this Netflix versus Blockbuster, who was the big guy at that time?
Oh, it's definitely Blockbuster.
Yes, Blockbuster. We are both old to kind of remember those times.
Didn't Netflix turn down, or didn't Netflix try to sell themselves to Blockbuster for like $1 million or something, like super low?
It was more than that, they did. So, who had more content? Blockbuster. Right? But what did Netflix have? They had the ability to, even though they had lesser content, they had the ability to tailor that content for the customer, right? So Blockbuster may have millions of titles. I don't want to go and search for those millions of titles. I just want to put I'm breaking my couch, okay? I just want to sit there and put the least effort to get the maximum out of my couch breaking time, right?
Yeah.
So that's the content piece, which is very important. And then, like I have been saying, that gave you a few other example, is the automation, right?
Yep.
Automation is very important to ensure that you're taking the right content, getting it delivered to the right customer at the right time and when they need it, right? So all those things can be done through automation.
Well, I don't think any conversation in the automotive space can be complete without something about EVs. And so, how dealers are facing the changes that are coming with EVs. How can data and AI help dealers succeed in the EV environment?
Yeah, great question, Brian. Um, so first, let me start by saying EV is no longer a niche market, right? Tesla has done the work for the industry, and EV has now become mainstream. Mm-hmm. If you look at what analysts are saying, they are saying that by 2030, half of the new cars that are going to be sold are going to be EVs, right? If I look at 10, 15 years down the line, we will not be talking about the EV term at all, because EV is just how what powers the car, whether it's ICE or EV, right? At that time, we'll still go back to talking about selling cars, SUVs, and underlying them will be a EV then an ICE. But the important period is this transition from the current state to that state, right? And the equation there has changed. You no longer have to convince the customer to buy an EV. But for most of the traditional OEM dealers, they have to convince the customers to buy their brand EV versus the predominant brand that is there in the market. You talk about EV, even for the biggest luxury brands, they will everybody thinks about one brand. Yeah. So that's the transition is a very important aspect, and and that's where AI can be the best friend, right? What dealers OEMs, traditional OEMs and dealers have going for them is that they have thousands of customers and potentially hundreds of thousands of prospects which have contacted or worked with the dealership. So the way AI and data can help is, first, you can look at it and identify who are my likely EV targets, number one. Second, from my lineup of 10 EV vehicles, which EV vehicle are they most likely to be interested in? Third, what is it that will convince them to go for my EV vehicle versus what will convince them to go for my brand EV vehicle versus the predominant brand which is there? Fourth, what content will help them? And fifth, bring in that content through automation and try to and nurture each individual there, so that you are convincing these customers to buy your brand EV versus the predominant brand EV. Because Brian, today for most of the traditional manufacturers, EV is still a very small segment, right? They are still catching up. They are having teething issues. But one thing that we have seen one thing we know about these OEMs is that what do they do well? They know how to make cars, right? So in 2 years down the line, all these 2-3 years down the line, all these teething issues will be aside.
Yeah.
And for these dealers and these manufacturers, you don't want to be in a race for the market share where you have lagged behind. Because people are still going for the predominant brand and the two other brands that catch up. So in that transition, it's even more important for to bring in the data and AI to help the dealers do that transition.
It seems like now would be the right time, because when you have a huge amount of people that are buying EVs are buying their first EV, and if you had AI able to help to educate them and make them more comfortable with that purchase. I mean, it seems like that would definitely be an advantage. If I was shopping for two different brands and one of the brands was holding my hand all the way through the process, I'm going to probably be a lot more comfortable taking the leap with them as opposed to the brand where where they just want me to come in for a test drive.
Yeah, I mean, the manufacturers, the OEMs are understanding it. GM is taking a big step. Do you know that they have a site which is dedicated to on educating customers about their EVs?
I didn't.
Okay, so they have a site. Okay, so they are spending the time, effort, and money. Question is that content, and they have some great content there. Okay, is that content getting in front of the right customer, or does a customer have to go and figure that out? BMW, if you look at Kia, or they have one of the best rated EVs, right? BMW's EVs are being rated very high. Are we leaving it for the customers to find that out? Or are we helping that customer get that information and transition, because they already have a bias towards my brand, right? Because they have bought from me, or they have serviced from me, they have worked with me, they already have a bias from me. So how do we not, how can we use that as an advantage to influence the customer journey?
Yeah. I would imagine there's a ton of garages that have a BMW and a Tesla.
Yeah.
And if BMW could get that information in front of those households, they might have two BMWs there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to your company. What's next for myautoIQ? Do you what's new and exciting? Do you have some new products? What can you share with us? About where you're going.
Sure. So this year, Brian, we bundled our data lake analytics product with our lead management suite. So what that product does is it brings together all the different facets of dealer data, your lead data, your CRM data, your DMS data, your Google Analytics data, your Facebook ads data, and provide dealers with a view which helps them make data-driven decisions, right? And this is not just related to our direct product, which is on the lead management side. So it's been very, very well received by our customers, and it's bundled at no charge to our customers. 2023, we are introducing two new products in the market. Mm-hmm. The first is the ownership nurturing, which will be taking myautoIQ's AI personalization technology to a car buyer's ownership journey, right? Which is basically will start from the time they buy a car, educating, congratulating, having a personalized handwritten note, which is incidentally written by a robot, which has their picture, delivered to them, make them feel special to buy from them, have different touch points during that process. We are bringing in gifting gestures, like you brought in your car for a complimentary service. I'll give you a Starbucks card and say, hey, take the car for a ride. Thanks for bringing it in. The goal is that you want to increase the loyalty of that customer. We will keep the service and the ownership aspects, like educating a customer about the car. What does their car need? Letting them know. Why should they service from the dealer? And if the manufacturer is offering free maintenance and things like that, taking those inhibitions out. The goal for us is to make that ownership journey, very pleasurable for the customer, mm-hmm. so that they become a loyal customer. Because these numbers that cost to acquire a customer is 10 times than from an existing customer. And for dealer, it works two ways, right? When they buy their next vehicle, they make profit on the new vehicle as well as profit on the trade-in. So that's the first. That's the new product one new product that we are launching in 2023. The other is the EV nurturing, which is focused on converting the ICE to EV buyers mm-hmm. that we talked about. And with the launch of these two products, I think we'll get close to our goal of providing that AI personalization tools for dealers to influence all stages of the customer journey, Brian.
Great, great. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
No, I think that was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
And enjoyed the conversation. And you've got a lovely studio here. So look forward to kind of seeing it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. My guest today has been Vikrant Pathak, and we hope to see you again soon. This episode is Over the Curb and Burning Gas.